Press conference over. Everything trade official, all that is done. So now it's time for the real work. I'm excited, man. Happy to get out here and just hoop now. Play with the guys, be a part of the team. So good stuff coming up.
So that's the extremely happy Julius Randle there. I don't know, maybe he's just extremely happy to be out of that New York City pressure cooker, or maybe he's just happy to be reunited with his former coach and one Chris Finch. I don't know exactly what it is, but it might have something to do with the fact that sometimes when trades go down, you don't end up with a contender. And this Minnesota Timberwolves team is actually better today than it was a week ago after this Karl Anthony Towns trade went down. Look, I am a huge fan of what I believe Donte DiVincenzo and Julius Randle will bring to this Minnesota Timberwolves team. But enough from me, North America. I am going to go ahead and play the introduction press conference for you next. I'm back with some final thoughts.
Yeah, it was a lot of emotion. You spend a certain amount of time in a place. New York, going there 5 years ago and, having a goal in mind, to accomplish a lot of great things and, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears put into, that organization uniform. Initially, it's always going to be a shock. But for me, afterwards, I woke up the next morning and I was just really, really excited. It was a breath of fresh air. I'm excited to bring everything that I learned here over the past 5 years and, help these guys out. My only thing here is I just want to help. I want to help Ant. I want to help Rudy, Nas, all those guys. I want to help win a championship. So that's the only thing that matters.
Jim Suhan, Star Tribune. Julius, do you think you need to change your game at all to fit in with this offense and these players? And if so, how would you think you need to change?
Well, I've played for Finch before. I played for him in New Orleans, so all you got to do is go look at the tape and you'll see.
Chase Frederick, Pioneer Press. Donte, just off the latter half of last season and then the playoffs, just where is your confidence at just in terms of, I guess, the player that you're blossoming into?
All-time high. I think, my confidence last year just continued to grow. My role continued to grow, and I just took full advantage of the opportunity. So whatever this season may bring, my confidence is in all-time high. My teammates, my coaches, they all have confidence in me. So that just, it keeps you going when you're missing shots. So, yeah.
Britt Robson, Minpost. Donte, you played the 1, the 2, and the 3 in New York last year. Any preferences on position and the fact that you may be playing a little bit more point this year?
Trying to play the 4, to be honest with you. No, it doesn't matter. I'm a basketball player. Our team is full of basketball players. So whatever Finch throws out there, I think, the IQ of this team, the versatility of this team just makes anything possible. And I think that was a big part of why I'm so excited. You're not in a box of just the 1 or just the 2. You can play with so many different lineups, small, big, doesn't matter. And I think that's what's so exciting about this.
Julius, Dave Campbell with Associated Press. How is your shoulder now? How did the rehab go, and kind of how frustrating was that to have happened, the timing last season?
It was extremely frustrating, but, my shoulder's fine. I feel healthy. I'm just excited to get out here with the guys. We got a great group of guys, competitors, and, it just feels good to be healthy. Had a great summer of rehab and training, and just excited to, add to this team and just help, like I said.
Julius, Andrew Dukowitz with Zone Coverage. You mentioned playing for Coach Finch before. Just how excited are you, or what are your feelings on coming back and playing with Finch?
I'm extremely excited. When I left Finch in New Orleans, I wanted him in New York with me because he's just such a great coach. I've always thought he was a genius, and he's a great communicator, knows how to get the best out of his players. So I remember playing for him there, and I always felt like super prepared for the games. Knowing what was going to happen, where I was going to get my shots from, what he needed from me. I just felt like he just opened up my game, and I became a really versatile player. I always say, like, playing there, and even still to this point, that was the easiest my game had ever felt, playing under Finch, just because he's just really good. I think he's just that good of a coach. So I'm excited to get out there with him. I know he's going to bring the best not only out of me, but out of everybody. And like I said, I just want to be able to show that and help any way I can.
Dane Moore. Tim, how do you see these three players specifically working with Ant, and what do you see that they can bring out of Anthony Edwards?
I think they all bring versatility and toughness. Certainly super competitive guys. And it was important to us that, coming off a big season and taking a big risk, when you make a trade after advance to the West Conference Finals, it's not done lightly. These guys are coming from winning environments too, so I think they appreciate what it looks like in the playoffs. They appreciate that there's no skip steps. I think we're entering the Western Conference. Maybe it's the best it's ever been. It'll be hard for us to get back to where we were last year and beyond, hopefully, but I think their versatility and kind of their winning ways will be pretty easy compliments to Ant.
Kata, Dawn Mitchell, Fox 9. It's a full circle moment for you coming back to Minnesota. Is it strange for you? Is it exciting for you? And what are your thoughts?
Not really that strange, just because there's so many familiar faces still here. I'm looking around the crowd and around most of you guys were here when I got drafted. So it feels a little bit different. Obviously, we're winning a little bit more than last time I was here, but there's a winning culture. There's a goal in mind, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
Kata, just how do you see yourself fitting in with this roster? It is a completely different roster than the one that you left, and different coaching staff. What do you kind of see for your role?
Yeah, I think Nas is the only one left last time I was here. But it's like Tim said, we're super deep, we're versatile. I think it's going to take all of us, like we've seen in the playoffs, whether it's injuries or matchups, just being ready for whatever comes.
And Donte, the Wolves have said that they were really trying to get you even last summer and before. Did you kind of register that interest previously, and what do you think about coming to a team that's clearly been kind of having you on their radar for a while?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good feeling when you know that the team that traded for you was a team that you were looking at last summer. I think when you look at the big picture, my mind wasn't on what teams are interested in me when I was in New York. I was fully there. I wanted to be there, and then as this kind of picked up, I realized it was an opportunity, and when it became an actual thing, my mind just completely went straight to Minnesota, and I immediately thanked everybody for my time in New York. There's so much love there, but then once I realized that this is a real thing and actually happening, my mind kind of transitioned to Minnesota, and I'm 100% here, and I'm super excited.
Julius, Darren Wolfson from Channel 5. You have the player option for next year. Is your hope that you can sign a new deal here and be here long term?
Absolutely. Just being around here and then being around the environment, Tim, Finchy, all those guys, like, that stuff is important. They've made me feel more than at home, being here, just super comfortable. The energy is up, like just being in the building, the energy is up. The guys seem like everybody gets along. So at the end of the day, to the core of who I am, I'm a basketball player. And, that's what I love to do, at the end of the day. So for me, being here is super important. And you want to be somewhere where you feel wanted. And, I feel wanted here. I feel like, everybody's really embraced me. Like I said, Tim's been great. I played for Finch. I really believe in Finch. And ultimately, I do want to be here.
And Donte, can you take us through your relationship with Brian O'Neill, the Vikings, and how far that goes back? Have you had a chance to connect with him the last few days?
Yeah, he actually reached out. He came to the game last year. He usually tries to come to the game whenever, playing here as a visitor. We went to school together in high school. We played together on the basketball team. And we won, 2 state championships together, I think. Big fella, love him to death, and I'm super excited to, have somebody out here that I'm really familiar with.
For Julius and Donte, it's probably weird to get traded coming off of a very successful season, but is it easier to stomach these types of things when you do just go from one championship contender to another?
Yeah, absolutely. My wife was actually saying that it could be a lot worse, for sure. I'm not going to throw any shots out here, but yeah, it could be worse, And like I said, I'm a basketball player and I want to win, At this point in my career, I've accomplished a lot of great things on the individual level, but I want to win a championship, and, this is a perfect opportunity to do that. That's what matters. Winning matters the most.
Yes. Yes.
Julius, Ren Clayton, WCCO. What's your kind of thoughts about playing alongside Rudy Gobert, and how do you kind of see that playing out?
I see it playing out great. I played next to a center that's similar in Mitchell Robinson, that protects the rim like Rudy, and it's easy when you got a big guy back there that has your back. So, I'm excited. Rudy's an extremely talented player. And I, have the ultimate and utmost trust in Finch. I feel like he knows what he's doing, and he'll be able to, work out whatever. So, I'm excited. We got a versatile group.
So normally I start these NBA rundown shows out with an attempt to be witty. I'll say something like, live from the Silicon Valley, this is the only show in North America that is actually going to predict the Minnesota Timberwolves are going to win the championship this year, at least outside of the 10,000 lakes that exist in Minnesota. At the end of the day, in all seriousness, when you actually look at this Minnesota Timberwolves roster, whether or not you're a Timberwolves fan, you have to admit that on paper, this Minnesota Timberwolves roster is actually better and deeper than it was last year. Now, no offense to Karl Anthony Towns, who is certainly a great player for the Timberwolves. But when we start talking about player contracts, Julius Randle's going to make just under $34 million this year. He has a player option for next year, which is just under $31 million. Donte DiVincenzo is going to make $11 million this year, $11 million the next year, and $12 million after that. When you add those two up, and then if you were to take a look at what Karl Anthony Towns is going to make, he's going to make over $60 million. So you can see the cost savings that the Minnesota Timberwolves are actually getting, and they are actually adding depth. No offense to Karl Anthony Towns, who is certainly a key component of this Timberwolves run over the last couple years. But certainly, when you look at the development of Anthony Edwards, the majority of his development actually came when Cat was actually out with injuries. I think this is actually a great move for both teams. We'll talk about the New York Knicks another day. But in terms of players actually being traded, having Julius Randle reunited with head coach Chris Finch, understanding who Chris Finch is as a head coach is a huge advantage. And then you can simply plug and play Donte DiVincenzo into just about any roster in the National Basketball Association. There are going to be games where Donte DiVincenzo actually scores over 30 points. That is how good and confident of a basketball player as he has become. Now, the Timberwolves actually tip off their preseason in the desert against the Los Angeles Lakers on Friday night. It will be interesting to see who plays and who doesn't play. I want to hear from you, North America. What are your opinions on these Minnesota Timberwolves? Do you think they now have enough to go all the way and actually win a ring this year?
This is Phoenix.